So today I wanted to talk to you about one aspect of internet security. How would you know if your username and password has been hacked and is out there on the internet? In recent days, there's been a rash of email phishing scams. Basically, the scam goes something like this. You get an email from a hacker. They say that they've hacked you personally and that they know your username and your password to your online presence. And to try and convince you that it's legitimate, they actually show you your password. And I guarantee you, this gets your attention quickly. They go on to say that they've used your computer against you in some way to record some bad behavior, and that they threaten you that they're going to take this bad behavior and release it publicly on the internet, or they're going to email all your friends that they hacked your email list, unless you pay them a certain large amount of money, typically in Bitcoin. So this is a classic extortion scam. They're saying they've got some dirt on you and they're going to expose you unless you send them some money. Well, let me tell you first off, this is just a scam. They don't know anything really personal about you. If they did, they would have actually included that video of you in front of your computer or whatever as part of the email to you. So do not pay these guys. Just throw away the email. So the natural question is, how did they get your username and password? Well, hackers are getting smarter. Rather than hacking 1 million individuals, one person at a time, which is actually a pretty difficult feat, they've decided to shift their focus and they're trying to hack big online corporations. Corporations like Home Depot, Target, LinkedIn, Dropbox, and many others have actually had very publicly exposed data breaches in recent years. Well, you might hear about it in the news, but you may not actually know that if you were actually sucked into that data breach. So now the hacker has gotten 1 million usernames and email addresses in one big effort. And they probably got other information. They may have gotten your address, they may have gotten your credit card numbers, things like that. So for a hacker, going after the corporation is a much better target than you individually. The hacker's real goal then is to get this knowledge about all these users, and then they actually put them up for sale on the dark web, the bad people internet that's out there. And so other hackers can actually go along and purchase from them copies of these hacked email and password lists. And this is exactly how that phishing scam that I mentioned earlier works. Some guy went out and used some money, bought a list of hacked accounts, and then turned around, wrote an email, and sent it to all of those users saying that he was trying to extort you. So that's really what's going on and what the potential of these large-scale corporate data breaches is. So how can you tell if your information was released in one of these corporate breaches? Well, let me introduce you to a guy named Troy Hunt. Troy is one of the white hat hackers, a good guy. And Troy had a really good idea. He said, well, what if I pretend to be a bad guy and I'll go out on the dark web and I'll buy copies of all these lists, and then I'll put them all together into a website and allow people to go and check to see if their name is on one of these lists. Because I don't think we can trust the big corporations like Home Depot and Target to actually put a lot of effort into notifying us that we've been breached. Company may not even realize that they've been breached. If the hacker's really good, slips in there, sneaks a copy of the database and sneaks out, there's no footprint, there's no sign in the company that's happened. So what Troy's decided is, well, I'm going to go to the other end of the process. I'm just going to go scoop up every list that I can find and consolidate it into one place. Well, Troy created a website that I want you to check out. It's www.haveibeenpwned.com. pwnd.com. The URL is along here at the bottom. And so if you go to haveibeenpwned.com, it's a really simple website. The main page, you just enter your email address. So if I put in my email, steve@mmeconsulting.com, and hit enter, it's going to tell me if I show up on any of the data breaches. Troy's database has over 5 billion usernames and passwords in it that have been part of breaches. Billion, not million. That's how much information is already out there on the internet. So when I hit enter, I was actually found that I was on 3 of the data breaches. one of them being Dropbox. So that means that username and password that I used at Dropbox during the time of the breach is out there in the public. And if I may have a bad habit of using the same username and password in multiple places, well, wouldn't that be a great list of usernames and passwords to start with if I was trying to hack Steve McAvoy over on another website? So this is a really significant worry for me. HaveIBeenPwned.com has another nice feature. If you go along the header at the top, there's a tab called Password. And if you click on that, this is basically a place where you can put in any password you'd like to check to see if it's on a known password list. Now, if your neighbor also had the same password, it would be on this list. So it just doesn't necessarily mean it was released because of you, but if you're using the same password that somebody else got hacked, well, if you're a smart hacker, you're going to use all these known passwords as a first approach to try and hack through things. So go ahead and put in a password that you're interested in. I wouldn't put your most secure banking password in here right now, because who knows who's listening on the other side of that conversation. But put in a typical password that you're not so worried about. And so I did this with my account, and lo and behold, my password showed up. It's on the list 7 different times from 7 different breaches. Now, it might not have been my particular user, but the password I thought up, maybe somebody else had, it shows up 7 times. So that's really not a good password to be using at all. So if you found that you've been pwned and you're on one of these lists, what should you do? Well, first let me explain what pwned means. Why did Troy name it Have I Been Pwned? Well, pwned is like a gamer slang term. It means I own you. So the hacker owns you. So have I been pwned? Well, if you've been pwned, what should you do? Well, the answer is pretty obvious. You should start changing your passwords immediately. They're on lists that hackers have. You are not safe and secure at this point. And it gets worse. If you're like most people and have a bad habit of using the same username and the same password combination over and over again, just because they've broken into Dropbox for me, they might potentially have my banking access, and they might have other access to other accounts because I've been a poor online citizen and I keep using the same password over and over again. I would start by changing the passwords anywhere that you have money or value behind the account. So for example, your banks, your investment house, your Amazon.com account if you have a credit card linked to it, your Starbucks account if you have a credit card linked to it, any online service where you have a credit card or some sort of money tied to it, I would change those passwords immediately. Would I change absolutely every one of my passwords to be unique? Well, that would be the best possible world, but I have to tell you, I have a generic password I use for sites that I think are not critical. For example, Yelp, I don't really care if somebody breaks into my Yelp account and files false reviews. So I might make my life a little easier by using the same password on a few non-financial related sites that I'm not worried about someone getting access to if they could. Now that you've checked yourself at HaveIBeenPwned.com and probably discovered that you've been part of one of the data breaches, what should you do? Well, this is a great time for you to adopt a new password strategy. And in another video here that we'll have a link to, I'm going to tell you all about what makes a good password in today's security climate. So if you need a little help with that, or any other IT issue at your practice, go ahead and give us a call here at MME Consulting, 866-419-1102. This is what we do. We're here to help. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to be automatically notified of when new videos come out on our channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I have a companion blog article that includes links to Have I Been Pwned and all the other things I've referred to. You can check that out here. And as always, we'd love to hear your comments, so if you'd like to leave some, please drop those down below, and thanks for watching.